Don't you just love it when stupid people try to talk a bunch of shit and end up proving themselves to be the least informed out of everyone else in the room? Just my volume real quick. Oh, let's rock and roll.
You're greasy.
Hang on, start from the beginning.
I hate you. I really fucking do.
Weird, because you've never really spoken to anyone for a long enough period of time to actually develop genuine hate for them. This just feels like a child saying they hate their parent because they're pissed at them because they don't know what else to say. Another thing, like, why is it that you're tagging Damien and I in the same fucking title that you're tagging an actual fucking pedophile? Like, the fucking gap of severity between they called you a doo-doo head and someone advocating for people raping kids. Like, do you not realize how tone deaf that sounds? When you put two people that, like, are very, very disgusted by that premise, and then someone that advocates for people sexually assaulting children and other people in general, and you don't realize how bizarre that is when you want to lump all three people into the exact same category under the same fucking title of the video, whilst at the same time failing to differentiate what makes these three individuals different from one another. It would have been a lot more reasonable if you actually made some sort of long form discussion about why it is you have a problem with A, B, and C, instead of just trying to put Damien, I, and the ugly fucking pedophile in the same group. Because out of the three of us, that's the only motherfucker that's actually been a real threat to anyone, as opposed to me and Damien calling you retarded online. And if being called names online makes you need to shit all over everyone for that reason, you shouldn't be on the internet, because you're gonna be fucking miserable. If your only way to handle any sort of rebuttal is to throw a fucking tantrum and be up everyone's ass. For no reason other than the fact you made a fucking fool of yourself at one point.
The smell of your breath, the way your face moves when those vocal cords force letters that no one cares to know they spoke.
I love how it's obvious someone else has written your insults because this comes off as someone who's trying to sound sophisticated but they fail in every respect because they don't even know what the fuck they're actually saying. And it stands to reason that if no one cares what either of us have to say, then it stands to reason you wouldn't be so offended. I would understand if you're trying to direct this at, the crazy fucking pedophile, but you're straight up attacking three separate people, only one of which I feel would actually fucking deserve such a lambasting. But remember, I hurt your feelings, so I deserve the same treatment as the actual fucking sex pest, because, that makes sense to someone who's totally not suffering a massive hematoma.
Your greasy long hair, your superiority complex that stems from your inability to recognize anyone outside of your place of origin.
It's more like people act like dumb shits and they get criticized for it. No one has a superiority complex. You're just pissed off that people call you an idiot for behaving like an idiot. You might as well just say, I don't care how stupid I look, because me looking stupid is the fault of the people who see me looking stupid, but not me for behaving as such.
The fact that you have to hide behind an overrated piece of shit piece of animation designed for edgy teens and psychopaths for a persona. The fact that you dare invoke Al Yankovic. The fact that the goth kid is gonna re at me.
It's not really even reading if I'm just sitting here giving scathing remarks into your desperate and, really, really fucking shallow attempts to try to get under people's skin. Another thing, have the balls to actually use your own voice. If all you're gonna do is hide behind some shitty AI, where you're basically just sitting there and relying on text-to-speech to make your scathing condemnations of my character, needless to say, I find it incredibly difficult to be offended by one of the lowest life forms on this fucking planet. The only difference between you and the dumb shit nonce that you've also tagged in this fucking title is the fact that dumb shit nonce at least has the balls to say things with their own words from time to time, while you're hiding behind AI. Now, if English isn't your first language, then yeah, I could understand why you'd have some leverage there. You have an excuse. But you're literally whining about fucking nothing and acting like everyone in the world needs to fuss over it.
Because he thinks being a geek goth kid at 29 is reasonable.
It's not geek or goth. I didn't realize that having impaired vision was the same thing as someone wearing glasses because you assume they're fashionable. If I could see things without wearing these from a distance, I wouldn't be wearing them. You act like reading glasses are somehow some sort of fucking fashion statement. It's not. I just legitimately can't fucking see. And your idea of a goth is that I wear dark clothing. Well, here's the thing. I like dark clothing because it attracts more heat. I get cold easy, so I wear clothing that attracts heat. Just because some of it looks cool, it just happens to be an added bonus. It's not my fault that you get offended if I'm not dressed up in a striped polo like it's third grade picture day in elementary school. Look, if you want to beat your meat at the thought of me dressed in a polo, just envision it in your head instead of needing me to yell at you over it. Seriously, you probably have a lot more mileage that way.
No one cares that you've been seeing that bitch since 2015. People been shackled for decades to some bitch and cocksucker.
Yeah, but the difference is, like, someone being in a happy relationship is not the same thing as someone being shackled, because shackled implies that someone's in, like, a painful or miserable relationship that they can't escape. Either because they're falling for the fallacy of sunk costs, or they feel as though that if they do leave, they won't find anyone better. More importantly, why do you care? If I post something on my community tab because I'm celebrating something happy, why do you need to shit all over it? It just feels like you're mad that someone else is happy. Do you think this offends me? No, I'm just confused. Like, I'm legitimately confused because you're mad about nothing. It just seems like you're pissed off about nothing, and you're trying to make it so that everyone else needs to be pissed off about it too, or you're trying to make me feel shitty because I was happy about something nice. Like, seriously, what did I do to hurt your feelings so bad that you gotta try so hard to hurt me? Like, what did I do? Did I call you the wrong name one time? And, like, it just stuck in your head for years? Like, seriously, what is your fucking justification for being this angry? I feel like I hit a nerve and I don't even know what I really did to hit that nerve. I mean, if your comments are any fucking indicator, it seems like I hurt your feelings by saying something mean to you, and then you're bitching about it instead of saying, you know what, maybe I should have been behaving like a dumb shit chode to everyone for like almost a year. But you know, what's that pesky fucking introspection doing?
But they don't pontificate about it.
And if someone's happy about a relationship, why do you care? You're not the one sleeping with her, you're not the one in the relationship. Unless I'm doing something like to publicly harass people about it, why do you care? Unless I'm like walking up with a fucking sign, speaking of my relationship and like poking them in the ribs with a sign and bothering them, I don't see why you care or need to care. It just feels like an unnecessary thing to be hung up over. Like, that's just me. Like, what's everyone else's thoughts here? Feel like comment below what your thoughts are about this, if you feel so inclined, obviously. You don't have to comment. You can if you want. Just tell me what you think if you feel like you wanna.
Since you were mutated into existence by druggies who were 15.
Well, actually, my parents were both in their late teens. They weren't 15, and they weren't like fucking abusing crack and heroin. It was just pot and booze. Now, granted, it's still not great for someone to be fucking blazed out of their mind or blackout drunk as teenagers, but at the same time, it's not like they were diehard fucking dope fiends. Like, can you imagine being so out of your fucking head that you have to assume the very worst of every aspect of what someone else says because they need to be the very worst for you to feel like you have a point? Again, this just feels like I hurt your feelings when you're trying too hard to be hurtful, but you just know so little about me that it just ends up like fucking. The best way to put it is if someone tried to like launch a cannonball, but instead of a cannonball, they put a fucking cantaloupe in a cannon and it just splatters on the side of the ship and does nothing. It's kind of like that. It's just wasted effort.
Nobody has been involved in your existence in a meaningful context, thus you have lashed out.
Not really. I have a long-term relationship. I have friends. I have family that I'm close to. If anything, it seems like you're just trying to fucking dump that on me. Remember, if I don't document every positive interaction I have with anyone else in my life, it must mean that I am trying too hard to make everyone think so online. You're totally not just projecting the ever-loving fuck out of this. Now, if you want to direct that at fucking pedo boy, aka the dumb fucking retard fish, then yeah, you have a point there, because that's someone who genuinely complains every day about how suicidal and depressed they are, that no one cares about them or no one spends time with them. If you want to direct that at that person, then yeah, you'd have a point. But if you're trying to aim that at Damien and I, it kind of falls flat because all the evidence to the contrary literally exists all over the fucking place on any social media platform we inhabit with friends or family. Just saying.
All the strife you endured was never justified and never will be. You pontificating about a failed hipster pseudo-libertarians campaign to manifest a libertarian's wet dream world isn't sustainable.
It's not a matter of it being sustainable. Me criticizing someone being a shitbag who wants to rape kids is not the same thing as attacking someone for some dumb pseudo-political statement. Here's the thing, I wouldn't give a shit if it was just him saying dumb, ignorant shit. It's the fact that he started libeling, doxing, and basically trying to threaten me. Otherwise, I wouldn't care. If he wanted to call me an asshole and say I was a dickhead, fine, but when you start trying to make shit up about someone, like post someone's address, say things about them that are untrue that might get them lynched, the person in question then does have the right to defend themselves, regardless of how a third party might feel about that matter. Like, I'll tell you what, let him dox your relatives and try to get them harassed by weirdos for hours, and then you come back to me and tell me whether or not a person has the right to want this person gutted like a pig.
His smear campaign against yourself isn't grounds for your conduct.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it fucking is. When someone openly does things that might get you lynched because they're pissed off that you called them stupid online, you are then obligated and permitted to respond however way you so choose, so long as you're not doing things that may result in physical violence. If I call someone a dumb shit and point out their fucked up actions, that's not me trying to get them killed. As opposed to this stupid cocksucker who went out of his way to openly post my address and say shit about me that might get people to fuck with me if they are stupid enough to believe him at face value. So don't say that shit. Don't say I don't have the right, because I most certainly fucking do. Why do I have the feeling that if the shoe was on the other foot, you would understand exactly why I feel the way that I do about that? You would understand my vindication if the shoe was on the other foot. Like, I get the inclination that if this person acted the way that they did against me, against you, and tried to drag your family into shit for no other reason other than the fact that they were pissed at you because you made them look stupid by pointing out the failings of their ideals, you would be singing a very different tune, I believe. Because if someone was trying to actually threaten your family, I don't think you would have the same kind of fucking, well, it's la-di-da, get over it, doesn't matter mentality if someone did the same shit to you. I don't condone anyone doing it to you, but would you really be able to maintain that fucking sentiment if you were on the receiving end of such harassment? I personally don't think you would.
And spare me, right-wing homosexual man, of your virtue signaling, and if the grown man hiding behind a golf picture must pontificate. Please pontificate in an amusing manner.
There's nothing that would amuse you, because literally everything you're doing is just bitching that people happen to exist.
Otherwise go back to filming bitchy and low-functioning sociopath fodder material that serves to titillate the undiagnosed BPD and NPD cases that barely function.
This coming from you of all people who genuinely act like someone who has undiagnosed schizophrenia or dissociative identity disorder. Seriously, you create how many fucking accounts to follow people around that you don't like because you can't get over the fact that you made yourself look like a colossal fucking jackass? There's a reason this video has 12 views and 1 like. It's literally you needing to counterbalance the likes to dislikes. Honestly, if the dislikes weren't disabled, I want to see just how many people ended up just bombing the shit out of this to oblivion. Because this literally comes from the mind of a whiny little turd who's basically trying to turn everyone into the villain so they could portray themselves as the objective, sensible third party. There's nothing sensible about trying to randomly tone police people about X, Y, and Z, while at the same time bitching and moaning about something they clearly know nothing about just because they want to come off as the more enlightened centrist of the group. There's nothing, what do you want me to do? Am I just supposed to, talk like a dumbass little kid? Is that going to be what titillates you if I speak like someone who just suffered a major fucking skull injury? Maybe if I talk like Foodie and start talking about a worthless fucking sport no one gives two shits about, maybe you'd be interested. Or maybe I could just do whatever the fuck you do when you're not doing garbage like this, where I just bash my fucking head into the wall until I suffer a fucking subdural hematoma. I mean, the kind of shit you do here, if it's any fucking, example of how your character is outside of the internet, I'm saying whoever's around you must be really fucking great. Because I imagine it must be a wonder to deal with someone like you in real life.
If none of this sinks into those spaghetti noodle structures...
There's nothing to sink in. You're literally just saying everyone is wrong because they need to be wrong for you to be right. That's the bottom line. Is you're just bitching about fucking nothing because you gotta make everything that someone enjoys or everything someone does your problem, even if it has nothing at all to do with you. And the funny part is, for some reason, you don't seem to realize that you're openly advocating for a sex offender in my comments section currently, where you're basically just saying, I don't have the right to rip into this person the way that I do because for whatever reason, you need to become a white knight for an actual sex offender. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there confused as to why it is you want to advocate for someone like this, whilst at the same time, you attack them in some of the most limp dick, completely fucking impotent ways I've ever fucking seen. Seriously, there's no bite to anything you say because you don't have the balls to actually attack at the center of the problem. You're literally just screeching because you have nothing of value to say and no one's going to listen. And the people that will listen are going to be people that point fucking laugh at you and call you a fucking brain dead, irrelevant, completely fucking idiot who's devoid of all rational thought and the capacity to actually make a compelling argument, because your argument basically just says everyone in this situation is inherently wrong because I've decided so. But they're not. Like, the fact that you attack me in your comments, like, you view your relationship as a status symbol. No, I'm just genuinely happy. Like, why am I not allowed to be happy for a relationship? Why do you need to turn it into a negative? And here's the thing, I don't really give a shit if someone else is in a relationship as long as they're not fucking manipulating people or they're not objectifying the person to the point to where they're essentially portrayed as a status symbol that you yourself accuse me of very, very pointlessly. Then I don't care. And even then, I wouldn't really see it to be something to speak about unless someone is, like, doing something so fucked up and so fucking egregious that someone should say something. Unless someone's doing some fucking Jim Soroka or some Onision shit, I really don't see the point in saying anything about it at all, especially if I don't even know what's happening. You're literally just trying to put words in my mouth and trying to make decisions for me about how I feel about my relationship. Like, you wouldn't know me from a fucking bar of soap. That is to assume you even know what the fuck a bar of soap even looks like. Because to me, you strike me as the kind of neat that just wakes up every day, bathes in his own fucking secretions, and then sits behind his computer or phone all day trying to find some fucked up way to get under people's skin.
One calls brains. Check out.
Oh, come on, you don't know what a brain is. For you to understand what a brain is would actually mean that you'd have the capacity or the biological capability to possess one and actually utilize it for its intended purpose.
No one will notice.
Yeah, I know, like, everyone else should just kill themselves, but remember, if I say the same thing to a sex offender or a pedophile or someone that's a homicidal incel, I'm the problem. Okay. It's okay when you do it because I hurt your feelings, but it's not okay for me to say the same thing to someone who actually advocates for homicides and shit. Okay. I'm so glad I know where you stand morally. Fuck you. Have a nice life.